Welcome to the Living a Nordic Life podcast, where we explore a simpler, cosier and more intentional life the Nordic way. I'm Fiona McKenna, your Nordic living guide and founder of Living a Nordic Life, where I share all things Nordic living and show you that a Nordic life is the way to bring intentional calm and healthy habits into your own life, wherever you are in the world. Are you looking for ways to bring simplicity, coziness and calm into your life? Well, let me show you how. Visit the Living a Nordic Life website to explore how I can help you on your journey to simple, healthy and happy calm, the Nordic way. You can subscribe to the podcast right here. And if you want regular inspirational emails sent with love from Norway and straight to your inbox, don't forget to subscribe to the Living a Nordic Life newsletters. And so now let's dive into our episode. Welcome back, my lovely friends, to another winter-bound episode. Go and pour yourself something warm, favourite hot drink, light a candle if you can, and let the world slow down to the pace of a drifting snowflake. Today we're stepping back, a long way back into the deep midwinter of the Old Norse world, into a January that didn't even have a name, into a time when calendars were carved in wood, when winter measured itself not by weeks or neat little squares on a page, but by hunger, by cold, and a long patience of the dark. So, are you ready? Let's walk together through January in Old Norse culture. In the world of the Vikings, January wasn't January, in inverted commas. The Old Norse year divided winter into two major halves: the slaughter month and the Yule month. But it didn't really match in alignment with what we see as the modern calendar. The spirit of January lives somewhere in that kind of lingering afterglow of Yule. Those weeks when the feasting slowed down, the fires dimmed, and the deep reality of winter settled in. You can imagine it, can't you? The days are short, so short that daylight feels like a polite but hurried visitor, and sometimes a visitor that doesn't even come. The cold hums against the timber walls. Snow is pressing its white silence against the outside world. And somewhere in this deep quiet, families get together closer. Their breath is misting in the chill air and sharing what warmth they can. Although I have to say that Viking longhouses were very warm. January to the Norse was not a month of beginnings like it is for us. It was a month of endurance. Even now, January always feels like the hardest winter month. It feels endless and very cold. But endurance for them wasn't grim. It was woven with ritual, with meaning, and with small but stubborn sparks of hope. Now we know that as sisu, don't we? That Finnish endurance and getting through things regardless. The great Yule feast had ended by now, or mostly ended. You see, Yule wasn't just one night of celebration, it was a season, often lasting 12 nights or more, marked by offerings to the gods and to the ancestral spirits. By January, the last of the feasting bowls were being washed. The carved bones of roasted animals hanging in the rafters, and the echoes of midwinter songs fading into memory. But in the Norse imagination, the world still felt thin. That veil between the living and the unseen was slightly parted, like we see it now in St. Lucia, the same. And January carried that ghost-like quality where old stories felt really close. People told tales to fill the darkness. Stories of Odin riding through the winter sky with the wild hunt. Stories of trolls lurking at the edges of the forest. Those stories that we still tell. Stories of house spirits who needed their share of respect and offerings, rather like our Fjøsnisser, the little barn elves that we leave porridge for on the 23rd of December. This season also fell roughly in the midwinter stretch, a name that tells its own story. The cold is biting. It's the fat-sucking month. Stores are thinning out. Everything that you've prepared, all the drying, the smoking, the preserving, has started to thin out a little bit. And your body is using the last of its autumn strength. It's a sort of honesty the Old Norse lived with every day. Winter was not symbolic. Winter could actually kill you. And yet they still found ways to make beauty out of that. Let's talk about work. Because in January, in Old Norse life, it wasn't idle. It wasn't a time to cosy yourself up inside, throw another log on the fire, get some hot chocolate, wait for things to pass. You couldn't do that. Imagine a longhouse in southern Norway or Iceland. I'm going to describe a longhouse actually that we have near here. It's a new longhouse, and it is at a place called Bora, which is in Horten in southern Norway, Vestfold, on the Oslo fjord. And Bora actually is Scandinavia's biggest Viking burial ground. And so it's important. There's a lot of festivals there, and they've done a lot of research into it and dug around, done some measuring of the ground, and discovered that actually it wasn't just a burial ground, it was a very important trading place. And they've built this beautiful new longhouse. And when you go in, it's all wood, and it's got a lovely smell to it, rather like the stave churches. And when you go in, it's quite dark. And as your eyes get used to the light, you notice that there are benches set up, and there are reindeer skins, and there are beautiful things on the wall. And there's always a very big fire going inside. And they're cooking things over it. And people are talking in quiet voices. And it feels cosy and warm and lovely. But outside it can be really cold. It can be glittering with frost, and we can have several metres of snow. But inside life is hushed and purposeful because people worked in there as well. Women might be spinning wool by the fire, fibres stretching through their fingers. Children might be helping with small tasks, mending nets, twisting cords, and learning those quiet skills that are needed to survive. Men repair tools and weapons, sometimes inside, sometimes outside. Iron can't easily be worked in the freezing air. That's difficult, isn't it? So the smiths prepare, sorting charcoal, repairing bellows, making ready for when the forge can burn again. January is also a time for storytelling. Imagine if you're sitting around the fire in the longhouse and you're doing some weaving, or you're spinning yarn, and the kids are doing small tasks. You want to talk, don't you? Tell stories, not just for pleasure, but for memory. And that's what these things are, really, these stories that are passed down. They're memories. The sagas we know, the great sweeping family tales, they were shaped in months like these, spoken aloud and passed from tongue to ear and to heart. They taught people who they were. They reminded families of their ancestors, their duties, and the long arc of their history. And it's in this stillness that culture was kept alive and is kept alive, because we still enjoy those things in front of a fire. But January wasn't all serenity and storytelling. The Norse calendar marked this period as the deep point of winter, rather like we still feel now. Maybe that's something that's been passed down, and it's in our DNA almost. We know that January is the hardest month. And with deep winter came rituals. One of the most important was the blóts, a sacrifice or offering to the gods, spirits, or the ancestors, however you want to see it. These weren't always grand ceremonies beneath temple roofs with golden idols. They didn't have those. Often they were really humble acts, a bit of fat tossed into the fire, a sip of ale poured onto the ground, and a whispered hope for the remaining months of cold. The gods who were most invoked at this time of year were those of protection and endurance, probably the ones that we know the best. Thor, that's how you like to pronounce it, the defender. He keeps storms from wrecking stored food and damaging homes. You want him, don't you, on your side? Freyr, the goddess of fertility and prosperity. She watches over the animals and makes sure that spring would come with enough strength to coax life from the frozen earth. And Odin, whose presence was strongest in midwinter, as the wind howled and the world sharpened under ice. Old Norse people didn't pray for miracles. They prayed for survival, for steadiness, and for the quick turning of the seasons. And amidst all this practicality lies something else: community. January nights were long, so families didn't scatter. You couldn't do that. You couldn't live alone. They stayed close, talking, singing, weaving tales. In many households, visiting was common. Neighbours and families gathered together in one long house after another, sharing stories, sharing food, and laughing probably as well. Probably a moment of lightness. And winter forged that connection as much as it tested resilience. But let's not forget too that winter was a time for law. The Norse held things, assemblies, throughout the year. And while many met, in milder seasons, it was probably easier to be outside, wasn't it? Especially if there were a lot of people. Discussions and decision-making continued by the hearth. January was a time to settle disputes privately, to plan alliances, and to negotiate marriages, and to prepare for the business of spring. It's going to be a busy time. There's something deeply human in that, isn't there? That recognition that even in cold and scarcity, life keeps unfolding, it carries on. So as we move through our own Januaries with their resolutions, we start them, don't we? It's not always, they don't always go that well. With the gym memberships and self-improvement algorithms, we're going to do this and do that. It's easy to forget that winter once meant something different. For the Old Norse, January wasn't about reinvention. It was about remembrance. Remembering who they were. Remembering the stories that shaped them. Remembering the land that held them. Even when that land was frozen and unforgiving. It's still frozen and unforgiving in January, I can promise you. So many of these things we feel them now. If you just take a moment and think about what your life is like, with tales by the fire, we tell those before Christmas, don't we? How many people read the night before Christmas on Christmas Eve? I used to, every Christmas Eve as a child. But perhaps there's something that we can carry into our own lives. Not the struggle, not the hunger or the hardship. We're lucky that we don't have to endure that. But that quiet strength, that sisu that we really want to have. The trust in the slow turning of the seasons. It's a chance to watch for it, isn't it? It's a chance to really appreciate it, to see those moments when the first bud appears. And that belief that warmth will return. It will. Even though winter might seem interminable, it's going to come back. And even though the world might seem like it's made of nothing but cold breath and silent nights, spring's going to arrive. January in Old Norse culture teaches us that winter is not a dead space. It's a sacred pause, a place where stories grow in the dark, where communities knit themselves tighter, and where the human spirit learns the slow, steady art of waiting for dawn. That patience, it's going to come. Don't hurry it. Allow it to happen, but appreciate that beauty of winter as well. There is beauty out there, I promise you. You just have to take a moment and look for it. So, thank you for sharing this quiet winter journey with me. And may your own January be gentle, filled with warmth, and lit by small, steady lights. And I will see you in the next episode. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the Living a Nordic Life newsletters so you can get an email when I release a new episode. It's a quick and easy way to keep up with all things Nordic living. Please visit livinganordiclife.com. You can listen to Living a Nordic Life on lots of podcast apps, including Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcasts, and plenty of others. If you've enjoyed the Living a Nordic Life podcast, why not leave me a rating? So that's the end of Living a Nordic Life for today, and I look forward to seeing you next time.